Coming up next on The Health Hustle.
If I didn't spend so much on this microphone, I would drop yours right now because
Let's drop it.
only because you're probably one of the first, if not only people I've had on the show that's talked about emails and the value of those. I preach it as somebody who does marketing for a living like it's nobody's business.
That's where they buy.
Thank you.
They buy there. They don't buy on Instagram.
Thank you.
Sometimes, maybe, but like most of the time not.
No, they might be on social media of any platform to like follow along and see what you're up to and see what you're doing, but they're not buying from you, to your point. Maybe luckily, but like not consistently.
So many people say that email is dead.
Not even close.
Do you hear that?
Yes,
Some people?
all
And
the
I'm
time.
like, I don't know what you're doing, but like it's not dead.
Are you kidding me right now?
If you were giving the actual value. So yeah, if you set up your emails and you're spamming them all the fucking time with a bunch of bullshit to sell right away, they're absolutely not going to open the email.
Right.
Like they don't care.
Hey folks, and welcome to the Health Hustle of Austin, Texas. On the show, we uncover the big ideas from your fellow health and fitness entrepreneurs in the Austin, Texas area about how they built their business and the lessons they learned along the way. I'm your host, Corey Hibben. On this episode, I had a chance to sit down with my good friend and local Austinian celebrity, Angela Gargano. Fitness coach, gym owner, international fitness model, 4-time Ninja Warrior contestant, professional pull-up teacher, ultimate French toast eater. All right, obviously the last one is a joke, but we got together this last weekend for breakfast, and I watched her order this amazing plate of French toast that I got a bite of, and no joke, it was delicious to the point that it sent me to the moon. Shout out to Snooze and ATX. They have amazing breakfast. Go check them out. Knowing that she's no stranger to getting behind the microphone or getting behind a camera, I know that she's had a lot of conversation, has a lot of content out there, and so I wanted to do my due diligence and make sure to give you guys a conversation that has not really been revealed on any other show. So the angle that we took was really diving deep into her entrepreneurship journey and all the lessons she learned from going from ground zero to essentially being a fitness influencer, and hopefully giving you guys a roadmap of how she was able to do that. As you'll see in this interview, there were a ton of roadblocks along the way. Some of the things that we get into are the power of having people believe in you before you believe in yourself, why she decided to open her own gym, how to determine when to grit or when to quit, what she means by sitting in your own shit, training celebrities for free, why she decided to niche down on Pull-Up Revolution, listening to your customers, why you absolutely must have an email list, which you obviously caught in the hook, the book she is working on right now, and so much more. Without further ado, let's go. Angela Gargano, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Great. How are you?
Awesome. I didn't plan on starting like this, but you want to tell people about what happened before you got here?
Yeah, I mean, earlier today I was sitting at a coffee shop just doing my normal work, and I'm outside, and all of a sudden I have a bird shit on me. Literally, fully. It was great. And then I looked up and it was just him. So you knew he was just like, okay, this girl's working hard. I'm going to,
Maybe it knew you were from the East Coast and they're like, you don't belong here.
It might have been. I was told that it's actually good luck. So I'm just going to go with that. Like, okay, something good is happening next.
That's ridiculous for the record. Like,
ask anybody. They said it's good luck.
All right, I believe you.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of ways we could go with this show. And for anybody that wants to find out more about you, obviously your histories as a Ninja Warrior, you're a cover model, like you've been in the fitness industry for a long time. And so if anybody wants that conversation about like that side of you and what you've done, there's a million podcasts. I've listened to a lot of them, and there's a ton of online content about those topics.
Yes.
However, on this show, we're going to take a bit of a different angle in terms of like the actual business and marketing and what you've done to actually build the career that you have now today. And let's go all the way back to the earlier days of, yes, you worked in the science world for a short stint, but even after that, you got into, what was it, personal training? Was that the first step into the fitness industry, or where did it start?
Yeah, so basically I got a degree in biological chemistry, and then right after college, I went right into working at Brown University. I'm making like legitimately like Breaking Bad style like compounds, goggles, stuff like that. And quickly realized, because I used to be a college gymnast, that I was pretty like I was really good at what I did, but I was pretty bored. Like after I was like, all right, like I don't have this gymnastics like going on anymore. What do I do outside of the chemistry type of piece of it? So I actually wound up getting into fitness competitions. So like the fitness competitions where you're like flipping around on the stage and you're posing as a part of it as well. And that's really what linked me into learning more about how to actually work out and learning about your body and things along those lines. Then I shifted and I started working at a a pharmaceutical company. So now I'm hazmat suit and even more Breaking Bad style, working overnight shift. And I still had to train really hard for those competitions during that. And it was during that time that the people around me at those overnight shifts, right, they were very unhealthy. I mean, the only thing open late at night was like Wendy's, McDonald's, whatever. And I was trying to figure out a way to stay balanced and stay healthy during that time. And people started recognizing that. And they just kept asking me like, oh, what are you doing? I see that you're bringing your own lunch in. Oh, you're going for runs on your midnight break around the campus. So that started to open my eyes to like, I think I could actually maybe make a living out of this. But my entire life, my mom told me that like, that's not a real career. That's never going to be a job. So I took a lot of time during that time to, you know, I have a lot of time overnight, and I just got my personal training cert because you could just get it online. So I'm like, I'm just going to like start with that. So got the cert. And then I actually started shadowing a few people that I knew who did personal training, who I looked up to, who are part of the fitness competition industry, because most of those people are trainers. So I would just shadow her. I would go in, I would literally walk around with her. Sometimes she would be like, okay, are you ready to like, you know, take this client through this circuit? And I'd be like, oh my God. Okay. So I would take them through the circuit. And then eventually she started giving me like a client or two here or there. And I kind of started getting used to it then. So it really started there.
Not to call it your mom, but boy, was she wrong.
I know. It still took her a while. I mean, still now she's nervous because entrepreneurship is definitely a whole roller coaster, which we will obviously talk about. I just think that parents, you know, they want to protect you, and they want you to have security and safety. And that's probably the way that they've been brought up. And yes, she's right. I mean, entrepreneurship is very hard, and there's times where you're like, oh shit, like I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm definitely happy that I chose this road instead.
Totally. I don't know anybody that's ever regretted going that route. So do you remember your first client that you had as a personal trainer?
Yikes, my first client. Wow, I haven't thought about this in a very long time. Yeah, my first client was I think it was this girl, Nicole. She was super sweet, and I just remember I walked her through an entire eval, and I was just so excited to like, because when you do an eval with a client at first, you're just like, wow, I can really, like the potential you see in them. It's that potential you see in them that they really don't see in themselves at all. And yeah, she definitely inspired me, and we were able to get her to, lose weight, feel better, and more importantly, feel better, right? The lose weight stuff is always what people want. I want to lose weight. I want to tone my leg or whatever. I'm like, but it's the confidence and the strength they get mentally through it that I started to really enjoy more.
Yeah, I think it's so often said that we have to give people what they want in order to get them what they need. I feel like that's so much of what the fitness industry is as a whole, is like, I want to lose 10 pounds or I want to build muscle or whatever. And it's like, that's never what's happening. That's never the actual thing that we're talking about. It's always something deeper of like confidence or being a better speaker even, or how those things carry over into every area of our life.
Absolutely. And I just think that's why I started to think about what my purpose is. And it really is that. And I've been able to, like you said, you're able to bring that out of people. And I've had people along my life, mentors along my life, who've literally believed in me so much more than I believed in myself. And that's the reason that I am here today. So if I could be that for somebody else, then I've won.
Love that. Okay, so you worked as a trainer for a while. Was this like a phase of like you were just doing it on the side before you moved into actually like maybe going into a gym or starting a gym, or what would that transition look like?
Yeah, so basically I was, doing it on the side. So I would literally work the overnight shift. I'd take 1 or 2 clients, start working with that. And then what I decided to do was I saved up a ton of money from that job. I was like, I'm going to save up a ton and just kind of have it, because I knew I wanted to be out of there. I'm like, I don't belong here. Like literally I would go and I'm like, I don't belong here. So I was like, I'm going to be a little bit smarter about this. I'm going to save up at least 3 or 4 months of full rent. So this way, if I do decide to leave, I'm not like caught up in this whole like, oh my God, I need to scarcity mindset, get money. And then all of a sudden you're doing a bunch of stuff that you don't want to do again. Right. Totally. So I saved up a ton of money. And then once I knew I had enough for a couple months of rent, then I secured a job at a gymnastics gym. And I knew I was going to make literally, I think it was like $15 an hour. I'm like, all right, well, I can just pile that on top of the money that I have right now. And then she was like, you can teach and do boot camp classes at the gymnastics facility to the parents. So I'm like, oh, this is like kind of perfect, because now I can grab clients, of the kids that I was, that I'm teaching. And it worked out really well. So yeah, quit the job, had enough money though. Again, was pretty smart about it. And then it all started literally in that gymnastics gym.
I think people underestimate the value of having a runway, as it's often called, of like having something you can fall back on, because it allows you to make decisions that a lot of people can't make. It really clears the thinking of like, you can do things that are going to help you long term versus the short term buck of like what I need to make today to pay the bills. So as you were working as a trainer at this gymnastics facility, did you always know you kind of wanted to eventually do your own thing, or like what were you thinking in that moment?
I don't think I was thinking like too much. I was just kind of like, all right, like I feel like I could be good at this. So I started having the adults from like the kids that I was teaching come to the boot camp. But what's funny is the boot camp, there was only one person who showed up for like 3 or 4 months, and I was like, I'm screwed. Like I like immediately was like, this is not gonna work. Like I don't know how this is gonna happen. So I just showed up for that one person over and over again. I did a really good job with them. Again, this is during boot camp, so now I'm only making what, like they're paying $35 or something for class. So like I'm getting like maybe $10 for this person, but I'm like, all right, I'm just going to keep showing up. I'm just going to keep doing this. And then eventually, I don't know what happened. Somebody told somebody else, they saw me, and then it was just like, okay, now it's in 2, now there's 3, now there's 4. But again, I say that in a way so people know like that was not an overnight thing. That was legitimately me in there. Like, what am I doing? Like 4 or 5 months of literally nothing. And then when it started to build up, it's interesting. Again, those people believed in me more than I believed in myself. So they kept like throwing out like, it'd be really cool if you had your own gym. It'd be really cool if you had your own gym. And I'm like, could I do that? Like maybe, like why not? Like why not? Like why can I not have my own gym? So I think the thoughts came literally from my clients as I started to help them.
Love that. I think so much. I'm also blessed in a lot of ways as well of having other people that believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And it's interesting how that works on our psychology of like when somebody else believes in you, for some reason, you start to also buy onto it. And then you start acting in line with what they believe in you, which I find so fascinating. And it goes both ways though, right? Of like, if you grew up in an environment and you're around other people that maybe don't believe in your potential, that also can very easily show up in your life. It's just fascinating to me.
It's super fascinating. And when I'm thinking back now even more because people don't really ask me a lot of these questions. I'm like, wow. Literally, I think every moment like that from there on had been from my client saying stuff to me when you're having conversations with them. Because, you have conversations, you ask about them. It's all about them. But then, you always have the client who's like, hey, like, what's going on in your life? And then you just kind of talk about it a little bit. And I would never want to get too deep. And then they just wind up saying these things that you're like, wow, actually, you're right. Because they're like, what they see in you is so amazing. And so, yeah, I definitely think that really helped me open my own gym. And then when I, later on, we'll talk about when I moved to New York City, I had a client, I remember being like, she looked at me and she's like, you don't belong here. You belong in New York City. And I was just like, okay. I'm like, fuck, I gotta figure this out.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. So let's talk about the opening of the gym then. Okay. So somebody instilled the seed of belief in you and you started to believe it in yourself. What did those stages look like, and what were the initial steps you took to essentially open your own gym?
Yeah, so I started obviously looking for facilities first, and then I was actually looking for investors. And this is actually really interesting. I was going to therapy at the time, and my therapist, I was telling her about how I wanted to open a gym. And she's like, this is going to be like off record. She's like, but my husband and I are looking to like invest in somebody to open a gym actually. So she was like, I can't be your therapist anymore, but we're willing to like walk around with you and go to gyms and try and find spots. I was like,
what?
Yeah. I was like, I mean, I'm down. I'm like, okay. So yeah, at first I was, again, looking for investors, just talking to people, going to different facilities that I saw with like for lease signs on, just kind of looking at that first. Literally no idea what I was doing. And I didn't read any books. I'm telling you straight up, didn't read any books. I didn't know anything about business. I was just like, okay, like we're just going to figure this out like the hard way. And then I kind of got, not in a way kicked out of the place I was at, but kind of like, a lot of times you'll start, when your business starts to get bigger, if you're, with somebody else in doing your boot camps in another facility, people are going to want something from you as you start doing well. So the woman that I was coaching for, again, amazing woman, but she's a businesswoman. She was like, all right, you're doing really well. I want more money from you. I want like this rent and stuff like that. So I'm like, all right, maybe instead of like paying her extra even more, maybe I can, because it's not my own place. I still have to work around all the kids and I only have boot camps at certain hours. So she kind of like almost pushed me out, maybe not realizing it. Cause maybe she didn't realize that I'm like, I could do this. Like, I'm going to go do this. And then literally from a friend through another friend, I wound up meeting this guy and he was a martial arts facility. And in the back, he had this awesome like warehouse space that was like already had some rigs in it and stuff like that. And it wasn't that expensive. And I'm like, I think I can do this. So I literally just full send went for it. I had like barely any equipment when I started, but none of the people cared. Like all the people that I had for these boot camps were so excited. And I didn't try and buy everything at once. I wound up not going with the investors. I went up instead, this was dumb, but I did it. I took out a credit card with my business, and I went up just like putting some equipment stuff on the credit card.
Damn.
Yeah. And I just, started off with literally nothing. And as I started getting more things, the clients got even more excited. So it was cool not to start off with all the things and the most beautiful gym. It was like every week I would see what I had left over for money wise, and I'd get a new piece of equipment, or I'd start to make it a little nicer. But at the end of the day, it didn't matter what I had in that. It could have been an empty room. It didn't matter. They were there for me, and they were there for the class. So some people want all these fancy things, but a lot of times like they're not there for that. Like that doesn't really actually matter. So yeah, dove into that, learned very quickly that owning a gym is very tough. Like owning a gym is like, you're now not only worrying about the landlord, which my landlord was not nice. Like I had a lot of issues with the landlord. I'm not ever the one to preach like anything about like female stuff or whatever, but for the first time in my life, I wound up seeing what happens when certain males think that a female is stupid and they want to take advantage by raising their rent every month or doing stuff like that. And quickly the guy realized that I'm very smart, and I was like, absolutely not. Like our contract says this and you're not going to do anything. So I had to deal with a lot of that on the back end. I'm the janitor now. I'm the accountant. I'm now hiring people. It was just like so much less of what I actually like doing, which is training people and like being around that I just wish I do wish that I had somebody doing that side of it, because it was a lot to do at once.
I love the rawness of that story of like what it's actually like to own a facility and have it be something so much more than, you're not just training at that point. You're so many things. You're wearing literally all the hats. I've always been told too, from so many people that I've had on this show, is that getting to the point of your first like 6 figures is generally the round number that people talk about, is that it's the hardest, but also oftentimes the most fulfilling stage, because like you do have to wear all the hats. And so like you're trading all of your time because you have no money to hire anybody else onto what you're doing. Did you ever reach that tipping point where like you were able to finally have the capital to be able to bring somebody on, or did you just hit the wall where you're like, nope, I'm done, I can't do this anymore?
I was able to bring a few people on. I wound up getting like an intern, which was really great. So I went to the colleges and had an intern just helping with like back end stuff, which was again sometimes those little tedious tasks that you're like, okay, cool, I can just like pass this on to her. She was really great and excited about it. I was able to hire 2 trainers, but they were more like on contract. That was also very tough because they always tell you don't hire your friends, but a lot of the people for trainers are basically your friends. So then you're just telling them and you think they're going to be like good people just to like, okay, cool, make sure that you write down each session you're having so that you're going to give me that slight percentage, which isn't a lot. Like I didn't ask for a lot. And then all of a sudden, like a month later, you're like, okay, like where's the percentage? Oh,
right.
Well, I didn't think I needed to, it's like a whole thing. So definitely realized quickly there. But yeah, I didn't really wind up hiring a lot of people. It wound up literally just being like a trainer here or there who I'd pay like a little bit, but not like anything crazy.
Okay. How long did this last before you were like ready to throw in the wrench and be like, all right, I'm done, I can't do this anymore?
Yeah, I think this was like 2.5 years or so at the spot. And then Ninja Warrior, which, again, you can listen to other podcasts about this story. I wound up tearing my ACL, and I kind of like I basically blacked out, and I woke up and I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, I'm like, what? I'm like, I have such a short life. Like, it shocked me to be like, wow, I have such a short life, and I know that this is not what I want to do. Like, I can make a change right now. And someone had told me, I think they said 2 or 3 years in a business, if it's not going the way you want, it's okay to let go then. You know what I mean? So if I was going in there and I was in there for 6 months and I'm like, this is too hard, that's probably too soon to say that, because it's going to be hard. Yep. Like, it's obviously going to be hard. So giving it the time. So I was proud of myself for being like, you know what? I put the time in that I thought, I'm not liking it. It's not filling my heart. Mm-hmm. And I keep kind of like thinking that I'm somewhere else. So yeah, I went up throwing the towel after literally Ninja Warrior. I waited like a few months obviously after that, but I just started seeing like, okay, I feel like I belong in New York City, just like that client kept saying. Yep. They're like, I see you there. They're like, there's something in you that you need to be out there more, not here just in Rhode Island in this teeny like situation. So again, those clients really pushed me to take the next step, but it was definitely hard.
I love the 2 to 3 year window mark. I've never heard it described like that, but what I like about it is that it's the classic, like, do I grit or do I quit? I feel like that's always the dilemma of people, is like, you're right. There's no question of like, if you are chasing your dreams and you really are passionate about this thing, it's going to be freaking hard. There's no getting around that. But also too is like, well, how long do you continue to push through the hard before it's like, okay, maybe I should be pivoting. Maybe I should be going on to something new. I always talk about, this sounds a little fluffy. I'm not generally this fluffy, but I always talk about it of like just like paying attention to your energy, in that like if you wake up enough days in the row where you get up and you're like, ugh, like this sucks. Like I can't do this anymore. If that just keeps on happening, that's when I started questioning it. I haven't had that for a long time, which is awesome. So I know I can continue to pursue what I'm doing. And it's not that I don't have hard days. I definitely have hard days. But if it's not like consistent, that's when I start to like tap in of like, okay, what's going on?
I love that. Cause yeah, if you quit too soon, like you may not, you like, but giving yourself permission to pivot, it's okay. And I pivot multiple times, like, right? Biochemistry. Okay, cool. Pivoted from there. Open the gym. Okay, cool. I thought that was my end all be all. It wasn't. Pivoted from there. Like, it's literally okay to pivot. You control your life. You can do whatever you want with your life. But yeah, definitely giving it the time that you need. And I love what you said about energy, because yes, I definitely felt like my energy, I just didn't feel like I was there. And that wasn't fair to the people too, right? Because now I'm trying to train them, but my head is somewhere else because I'm like worrying about all these other things. And I'm like, I just think there's something different that I should be doing. And they were very supportive when I shut it down. I made sure they were taken care of. They knew like a month or two in advance. I took them to a ton of other gyms in the area. I was like, let me take you on a field trip. I was like, they're going to give you a special if you want to come to this gym once I shut down. I made sure that every single one of them was taken care of, because that's where my heart was mostly broken. I was like, feel like I'm abandoning these people. Like at the end of the day, those are humans, right? And I was taking care of them. So they felt, when I left, they were very proud of me. They knew that I needed to go. And they were also, I think, happy that I like showed them the way of where to go next.
Wow, I love that. At least you didn't like lock the door and they just like showed up one day and they're like, why isn't the door open? Like, what's going on?
Absolutely. Yeah, I could not do that, because at the end of the day, it's about them. That's what made me so happy. So I wanted to make sure that each one of them was taken care of.
And you're probably still connected with them now today.
Oh yeah. I mean, they still message me all the time.
Right.
I still have, they're like, we're so proud of you. Like, they're just literally the most amazing people.
I've always found that people just appreciate clarity. And this shows up in like every realm, even like in the dating realm. Like I was talking to a guy recently, I won't say his name, but he's like, yeah, I went on like 50 plus dates, like trying to meet women or whatever. And he said, if I knew within like the second date or whatever that it wasn't a good fit, I would always tell them. That's what he told me. And I was like, man, like that is an incredible amount of just emotional maturity, because like most people would just ghost. Most people would like lock the door of their gym and not want to have that conversation. But I think it's the clarity that honestly at the end of the day, people respect so much more.
Yeah, clarity, and yeah, just being honest. Like, I mean, I think I just had to be really honest with them. I was like, this is how I feel. I literally was like, I'm falling apart. This is like very difficult. You guys see like this one face, and I'm trying to be this strong person. And as soon as I got hurt and I knew I couldn't be that strong person for everybody anymore, I was just broken. And yeah, I think being very clear, very vulnerable. I think you being vulnerable and authentic, no matter what you're doing for your business, is what is going to really help you in the long run, instead of trying to be this tough guy, like whatever. Just be vulnerable and be authentic about what's happening.
So I'm assuming there was probably a phase between closing the gym to moving the next thing, right? You obviously blew your ACL. You're probably in not a bright place at this point in your life. What did that little tween phase look like before we get to the next part of this journey?
Yeah, I mean, that in between one was really tough. I mean, that's literally the place where I, again, was super broken. And I define it now as growth, but like you don't look at that when you're there. When you're sitting in it and you're feeling stuck and you're feeling like, wow, I'm just like, my knee, I can't walk anymore. I can't do any of the modeling gigs I was doing. I can't literally do anything. Now I'm shutting down my business. Now my identity was tied to not only being a business owner, but now it was an athlete, right? So I'm now not an athlete and I'm not a business owner. Who am I? Who am I? And like then like trying to figure out, okay, now what do I want to do? But it was a great moment for me to, again, I say it, sit in my shit, but literally it was a great moment for me to sit in my shit and kind of really understand like who I am without that. That's going to really help me to figure out what my next step was. So what was crazy is shut down the gym during all of that, had to do all the physical therapy. But I started getting a drive when I posted on social media. And let me tell you something. I've been doing social media for a very long time. I never thought it was going to be like profitable in any way. I was just always that girl who was posting every day since when was like 2012 or whatever. I've been posting every day literally since then. And didn't think it was going to be anything. I posted a video of me with my crutches hanging with my brace on, and I was flipping around. This is at my gym, flipping around my crutches and doing pull-ups with my brace on. And it literally went viral. And that's where I saw that there was another opportunity online to reach even more people. So the door opened there. I didn't know what it was yet, but I'm like, I'm just going to keep posting this journey. I'm going to be vulnerable with them. I'm going to tell them how bad this sucks. I'm going to show everyone my workouts of me sitting with this giant brace on, doing bicep curls and like, hey, you can work around it, right? You got this injury. And that little peep of like that being viral really helped me to kind of come out of my shell and be like, okay, cool. There's more for me. I kind of see that it was there. So I needed that little moment. What was funny is once I shut down the gym and I had this thing in my leg, I sold a lot of the stuff that I owned. I moved back to New Jersey and I was literally living in my dad's basement again. And here you are being like, I literally went from living on my own, owning a gym, to back in my dad's basement. Now at this point, no money saved up. So no runway, debt from the gym. Like I think I had like 30K of debt, like from the actual gym. And I'm just like, oh shit. Like, so here I am again. The runway was this time, I guess living in my dad's basement for free. So that's where we started. Like, let's just start there. I'm like, okay, cool. So definitely not the prettiest transition, but I definitely think that it was definitely exactly what I needed to do.
I love how real you are with all of this. And I would be curious as to, was there a dark side of that social media piece? Because I think that's awesome. Like you went viral, people reached out, they probably like wanted to know like, what, that's awesome. Like keep going, like encouragement. But I feel like sometimes there's also a dark side. Was there any sort of like people like, this is fake or that's BS or like anything like that?
I had a few people be like, this is so stupid. Like, why are you hanging on the bar, flipping your crutches during your ACL? Like, that's so unsafe. Da, 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 da. And I'm just like, you know what? Like, get over it. Like, I'm taking chances. Like, you're going to be the one who's sitting there then in your brace and just like not living your life and just whatever. So as much as it was like, okay, whatever to those comments, I think I used the other comments of people being like, because of you doing that silly thing on the bar, I just got into a car accident and now I feel like I have hope. So I started to really trying to lean into those instead.
Totally.
Which I think really helped. But yeah, there's always going to be that person who's like, that's stupid, like
Right.
whatever. And it's just like, just go away.
Well, I'm sure too, like the competitive side of just your nature probably makes you want to like prove them wrong to some degree as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, even when I got injured after that, like once I started to get out of my like sitting and I'm feeling sorry for myself and not knowing who I was like, all right, I'm coming back. Like I'm going to come back next season. I think I came back 9 months later, which was really dumb for an ACL, but I did. 9 months later, I'm like, I'm going to come back. I'm going to come on the show and I'm going to like prove to myself that like I'm still just as strong even without all those things.
Can we get into maybe just a little bit about how were you able to work through something like that? Because like I think a lot of people listening to the show probably had that scenario. I've definitely had that scenario of an identity crisis and what that feels like and how it's so interesting how like, yeah, you feel like a part of you is gone and lost and you don't know what to do and you have to recreate a new identity, which is why I've always found it so fascinating that identity is malleable, right? No matter what we identify ourselves with now, it could definitely change in any given moment, or we could choose to change it in any given moment, which I always find is interesting. What did that little phase look like of like, did you have to like create a new identity or how did you come out of that or how did you pull out of that?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I feel like a lot of it. So yeah, obviously again, my identity was I'm a ninja warrior. I own a gym. Now I'm like, shit, I have none of that. Who am I? People be like, what do you do for fun? I'm like, I don't know. Like,
Right.
I don't know what the fuck I do for fun. And I think that what I had to do is a lot of it came down to mindset. So I started journaling. At first, I always thought that like journaling and meditation was like super stupid. I'm like, no, like who does this? Like whatever.
Same.
And yeah. And then I was like, all right, like maybe there's something to this, like getting out on paper how I'm feeling and things along those lines. So I started journaling a lot, just about whatever it was that I was feeling. It was a great place to be, like not biased opinion. If I was like, yeah, there was points where like I literally didn't want to live anymore, I could write that on the paper and not have someone be like, that's stupid. Why are you thinking that? Like type of thing. So I felt like a lot of the writing helped me to kind of understand, and a lot of like sitting in my thoughts, going outside and spending some time, like a lot of time by myself, I think really helped me to identify like who I was, who I wanted to be, maybe some things that I wasn't able to like take a look at before because I was so into my business and so into my knee stuff. So I definitely think the journaling helped a ton. I think everybody's process is a little bit different. And then the meditation, just having that time to kind of sit calmly in your thoughts. And the last thing that I did, so I would meditate, I would journal, I may still do it now, meditate, journal. I read a little bit. I always read some kind of self-help book. And then I would sit down and picture what my perfect day was. And I think that really helped me because normally like you're like, I'm like, what is my perfect day? I'm like right now it's just been work, like go to work, go do this, help somebody. I'm like, what about if none of that mattered? What does my day look like? So I started to really picture that. And after doing that over and over and over again, it started to becoming more like this could actually be a reality. Like you could make that happen. But again, I'm telling you this process and you probably feel the same. It's like, that wasn't like a 1 week process. This was now like I had to stay consistent with it. I felt nothing from it probably for like a couple months until finally, like I think months down the line, I'm like, wow, I'm actually feeling more calm. I'm actually kind of understanding myself a little bit more. So you really got to give it the time and put in the work for that.
I remember the first time I did something similar to sit down and really try to figure out what I want. And like, that can be the most frustrating and hard question of all time, is to like sit down alone with even a blank piece of paper and be like, what do I want? I would argue that if you've never done that before, that you're going to be sad and angry and confused, and you're like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what I want. I've never even taken the time to do it. And so for anybody that's never done that or looking to do that, give yourself some grace to know that it's like anything. It takes time, it takes practice, it takes being alone, it takes meditation, and it's still changing. I'm sure you still evolve in terms of like what that perfect day looks like, and it's going to continue to evolve, and just understanding like the process of something like that.
I think just having that thought in the back of your mind that you are kind of trying to find that, you'll find like certain moments in my life when you said if you feel like you have really good energy, and you'll be like, oh wait, like that's what I want. And then I'll like put it in my notes on my phone. But it's like, as you're living, you'll start to realize, because you're kind of more aware and trying to think of it, you'll be like, oh, that, I like that. Or maybe you'll be with a group of friends. Like this weekend, I was with a group of my friends who have this amazing gym backyard. So I'm like, I want that. Like, I like knew Eric. Yeah. I knew like right there. And I was like, this is what I want. I was like, I want this community and that. But I had to like, again, live to kind of start to figure it out. But now that it's in the back of your mind, you're actually thinking about it, where before I think we become a little robotic and we're just like doing what we think we should be doing and stuff like that.
Or society thinks we should be doing.
Yeah, what society, what
Sure.
we think we're doing, stuff like that. Once you actually have it in the back of the mind, then it opens up more. You start to notice things a little bit more. And again, starting to see like, wow, I woke up today feeling really good. This is what I want for my everyday to look like. So it definitely takes a lot of work.
Yeah, the awareness is everything. That's the word you used of awareness is like by far the biggest life hack of just pure mindfulness. It's funny you say that I thought it was total voodoo as well. I remember it was actually in grad school. I had a professor. She was also a yoga teacher, and it was the first time I ever heard a meditation. And I thought it was the dumbest thing in the world, right? I was like, you want me to sit alone with my thoughts and that somehow is going to improve my life? Like that sounds insane to me. And it wasn't, because like I'm total like left brain logical science guy, kind of like your start as well in the industry is like, I remember when the research came out where they were showing that the areas of the brain that were associated with like happiness and fulfillment started to grow, and the areas associated with like stress and anxiety would actually shrink, like literally physically changes in the brain. And I was like,
Science.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
That's like, I read this book, Stress Less, Accomplish More. It's a great book. Someone actually gave it to me because I knew I was sitting in my shit. And I read it, and literally the science piece of it blew my mind. It was like, you literally can change your brain.
Yes.
You can change your brain by doing these simple things. It's like, why is the world not doing more of that? And it's because we're all just thinking that it's stupid.
Yeah. I think the thing that really triggered for me too of like the power of it was that we do so much for our physical health. Like we exercise and we try to eat healthy and we try to sleep and we do all these amazing things to just like have a great body and physically be well. But what are we doing for the thing that filters every experience we have day to day, which is our brain? I've always told people it's like doing a bicep curl for your brain, right? Is like put in your reps of bicep curls for the day, and the days that feel like really hard and tough are the days that you should be doing it. Like those are the best days because you needed it the most.
Absolutely. Those are definitely the most important days. If you can show up on those days where you're just like, no, like that's a game changer.
Totally. So let's kind of move forward here a little bit. So did you decide to chase that dream to New York, or where did you go?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. So my dad lived in Morris Plains, New Jersey. So I was living in his basement. There's a train literally like a block away from his house that takes you to New York City. So I was like, all right, let's connect.
Meant
this.
to be.
I'm like, let's just make this happen. Like whatever. And again, I had other friends who were saying like you need to be in New York City. I knew a couple people there. So like, again, kind of had that push. So was living in the basement, and then I started just going about taking the 5 a.m. train into the city and just taking fitness classes all over New York City. Literally. The fitness classes that I knew people that I wanted to be like were in. So I just kept going. And then it was pretty bad. I mean, I was literally taking like 3. It's like taking like 3 a day. I'm still recovering from my ACL, by the way. Found an amazing physical therapist in New York City. There was times where she's like, you did what today, Angela? Like, are you kidding me? Like, you were trying to get your leg better. I'm like, I had to take this tone house class. Like, I needed them to meet the people. So I would just go in there, and I literally went in with zero expectations. I would know some of the people, but I didn't want to tell them that. But I would just go in and just be like, yep, just be myself. Talk to them like a normal human being.
Like via social media, like you follow them or something?
Yeah, like
okay.
I knew exactly where they were gonna, like, you can just see where they were gonna work out. I just hang out with them, and it literally quickly happened so fast. The people just literally caught on to my energy or something, and then all of a sudden you're getting invited after a class to go get coffee with that crew, and then all of a sudden you're just kind of like meeting the next person. Then this person's like, oh, you need to meet this person, and then all of a sudden it literally, it blew up. But during that time, right, we had that in between. It's like, I'm not making any money. Like, where's my money coming from now? I went up taking a course, an online course on how to do social media to make a course for online. So I was smart about it. Whatever money I had, like I had a little bit of money left over, I decided to take this women's class. I don't know if you know who Rachel Bell is, but she had this thing called OCA. I don't think she has it anymore, but I saw it. I'm like, okay, cool. I think I can make this work. So bought it. And I was like, I'm going to take this class and learn how to utilize my social media and go to class every single week and just kind of learn what I could possibly do to make some money online. Like, why not? And a lot of those people that I started working with at first, because you want to start working one-on-one online first with people to kind of even understand how to do it.
Totally.
I was doing 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. sessions before that in person. So it was great to get a couple one-on-ones. Most of them had ACL issues. How crazy is that? Most of them, I was helping them work around their ACL issues so they can come back stronger. And it was kind of cool to see that evolve, because it started with the one-on-ones, and it was called Warrior Strong Method. That's what it was called at first. So I did like a decent amount. I literally just did as many people as I needed to just survive. It wasn't even like, I'm not going to save any money. I'm probably still going to be in debt, whatever. Just got pretty good at that. Then I started, I got introduced to some people so I could teach some classes in New York City. Then I somehow got ingrained into this big gym in the city called Performance House, where literally all the celebrities train, everything like that. They literally were like, okay, cool. You can come here and work out and be a part of this circle if you train people for free.
Damn.
And I was like, okay, fuck it. What do I got to do?
Because you wanted the relationships.
I wanted the relationships. I wanted to be in there. I wanted to be known with those people. So what did I have to do? I trained people for free. Sure. And that means that I was taking the 5 or 4 a.m. train in. I was training people for free. And this is like you're training like celebrities, right? So they would have you train celebrities for free, which again, after you got to know them a little bit more, they would also start to connect you with other people. So it all kind of started to get connected just because I just showed up in these places with no idea what I was doing.
How much of this would you contribute to luck, and how much would you contribute to hard work?
I mean, it's definitely a big mix of it. Luck definitely has some piece of it. I think just the fact that I was a good human to these people that I knew were where I wanted to be helped a lot. So I don't know if it's luck or just being a good person, treating all those people that I met as legitimate humans, not asking for anything, giving as much as I could. And then a lot of stuff just happened naturally. Like I said, they would literally just start to ask me oh, what are you working towards? Because I would ask them about that all the time. And all of a sudden, maybe 5 sessions in, they'd be like, oh, what are you doing? And I'd be like, oh yeah, I've really been wanting to, do something with Pop Sugar. But I don't really know where to start. Oh, actually, I know the owner of Pop Sugar. Let me link you to them via email. You notice how I didn't ask?
Yep.
Literally didn't ask. I just kind of talked. And this is an entrepreneur too. That's the big piece of networking, right? You're just talking about what you're doing. And maybe somebody is connected to help you. And if you're just being a good human and not going up and being get me on Pop Sugar or whatever, then it's going to come off a lot more naturally.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
That is such an incredible story of a small snippet of your life. Because I can so closely relate to that. It's one of the favorite things I like to talk about is how people who don't believe in karma, I find hilarious, because it's the most simple concept of all time. Is you just do good for others and you just try to help them and just try to add value. I promise you it's coming back. I don't know how, I don't know where, I don't know when it's going to show up or what it's going to look like.
Exactly.
But I promise you it is coming back.
It may not be tomorrow. It may be 2 years later, whatever it might be.
Where did that lead you next then? What happened?
Yeah. So what happened next is, again, the online stuff started growing. I tried to launch an online do-it-yourself thing called Dominate, because I didn't want to have to do so many just people high ticket one-on-one. failed completely. Like I literally I just totally fucked that up. So like I got so excited. My friend helped me film it. I put it all on like a Kajabi. I was like ready to go, and like no one bought it. I was like, cool. So that sucks. And then,
Pause. What did you learn from that?
I definitely learned that not everybody is watching you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you just assume that everyone's just gonna buy it.
Build it and they will come.
Yeah, I'm like,
Wrong.
they're just gonna come. They're just gonna want this right now. It's like, oh no, it's
No.
like there's so much more involved with that, and I help a lot of creators right now actually, who are in the same boat as me, and they've had the same issue, right? They've got a massive following, and then they go to like launch something and no one, it's crickets. They don't understand it.
Yep.
And I'm just like, all right, well, I can tell you why that happened because I've been there, like
Yep.
I've done it. And I've definitely helped them on their journey. But yeah, so crickets on that one. And then I had to host a free workout for women's health at that Performance House gym. And while I was there, I met the editor-in-chief, Liz Plosser, and she, I don't know, her and I just like connected, and she was like, oh, you're a ninja warrior. That's so cool. She's like, I've just always wanted to get a pull-up. And I was like, yeah, like, let me help you. Like, let's get one. She's like, oh my God, I would love that. Like, can I come train with you? I'm like, absolutely. Obviously, like, I'm training for free. I'm like, okay, that's again, I really genuinely felt like connected with her. And I'm like, I really can help you get your pull up. She's like, I really need it in like 14 days though, because I'm doing this like editorial shoot and like, I want it for then. And you'll notice with like celebrities or big people, a lot of people need stuff now. Like, I'm like, all right. Like in my head, in my mind, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm like, we're going to do it. Like, let's just make it happen. So her and I started training 2 days a week. Same thing, 4 a.m. to train her in the morning. She showed up though. She did all the stuff that I gave her programming outside of what we were doing. Yep. Through the True Coach app. I literally still use that now. So I put all the training in there. And she was able to get it in 14 days, which is wild. And then as we are posting our story about her getting her pull-up, more and more people are like, I've just wanted a pull-up. It's all I've wanted. Then I started to do some market research. I was like, is there anything out there for people to get their pull-up that's like easy to follow, that's with a female, particularly maybe like one or two things. I downloaded all of them to kind of look at them. A lot of writing, a lot of like, spreadsheets. And I'm like, this is freaking confusing. Like, I mean, I wouldn't want to follow this. So I was like, maybe I should go all in on pull-ups. I was like, this is like not only very niche and very like something that I could be known for. And now I'm known for it because I helped Liz get hers. I was like, this could be something really big. So I started developing Pull-Up Revolution. But before that, I kept asking Women's Health to do something with it. I was like, I really see that there's a big opportunity here. I was like, we need to do something with pull-ups. I kept pushing. I'm like, come on, let's do something. They just weren't budging to do something bigger with it. And then I'm like, why am I waiting? Like, why am I waiting for Women's Health to help me create this when I can create it by myself? So I stopped waiting. I finally was like, screw this. Stopped asking. I was like, I'm going to make it myself. And that's how I created Pull-Up Revolution, which is the one that's literally what I'm known for now, which has helped over 500 women get their pull-ups. So I feel like, yeah, a lot of this stuff opened these doors, but I had to like experiment and see what kind of hit. And that hit, like that was, everybody wanted their damn pull-up. Let me tell you something. So we went through a lot of processes with that. First, we were starting it off with like application based. So they're coming in for applications. I'm literally sending video messages to every single person who applied. I mean, again, we were talking about like the nitty gritty. So I want to like go in the back end of that, like literally tight form filled out. I would go in, I would put it on an Excel sheet. I would send them full video messages on Instagram. Hey, it's Angela. I'd love to have you in this program. I hear you talk about your pull-up. Kind of got them like in there. And I literally go down probably like 80 people for this stuff and maybe get like, I don't know, 1/3 of them to buy, whatever. But I had to go through all that. Went through all the stuff there. Got a lot of people in the program. Everyone's getting their pull-up from it. I'm like, this is working. Like now I have a product that it works because I'm really damn good at it. I'm getting people in the door. I was like, what can I keep doing to evolve this? So I did that for a lot, like I think every 30 days for like, maybe it was like a year and a half.
Damn.
And during that time, COVID hit. So I was already online. I already had everything going. No one else did. I was set. I was like, all right, like everyone wants to learn their pull-up. They all got their pull-up bars in their house. They have nothing else to do right now.
Oh, yeah.
They're getting stimulus checks. This is perfect. Like, let's get them all their pull-ups. So I took a lot of advantage of that situation of them getting, they want their pull-up. And then through that, I was still training Liz, and we were training virtually now. And they were doing these workouts on Women's Health on the Instagram. And like Instagram was blowing up at this time for these live free workouts. And I was like, hey, I would love to like teach a class on there if that's something that like you guys have room for. Oh, absolutely. Now all of a sudden I'm teaching 3 days a week on Women's Health, getting thousands of followers like every single day,
Hell
which
yeah.
is wild, just piling in. And I wasn't even doing it for money. I was literally just doing it because, I mean, we're all stuck inside. I don't know what the hell else I'm going to do anyway. And then I started seeing an opportunity from those classes. People were saying to me, oh my God, there's certain movements I do in my back. I'm feeling it in my back and my legs, especially core movements. And I'm like, you know what? I feel like you guys need some core foundation work. And that might be a great opt-in to like Pull Up Revolution to kind of get me to know me a little bit more, right? Because it's like a bigger investment and it's like a lot more time. So I'm like, let me just try this. So I literally made an offer on Kajabi, which is the site I use. I didn't have a course created. It literally just, I'm like, I'm going to call it Core Revolution, 30 Days to a Stronger Core. And I put it up and I'm just like, let's just see what happens. Like, whatever. I literally sold like 300 of them.
Damn.
Didn't have it made. Didn't know how I was going to make it. Didn't know what the workouts were going to be. Nothing. I just was like, you know what? I see there's a problem, right? We talk about this like all the time with business.
Listening.
You see, I saw there's a problem. I know I can fix it. I don't know how I'm going to make it, but whatever. Let me just throw it up. And now I have 30 days to make this program. Like I had to make the program in 30 days. So it literally lit a fire into my ass to like make it. And that was great because now I had my core offer, right? I had the core offer of Pull Up Revolution. I also then had the core Revolution program, which is cheaper, and kind of got them in. And now you're starting to see how the business is growing and evolving naturally, right? I had no idea what I was doing, like with any of it.
I have so many things I want to pull out of this. This is such an awesome story.
Yeah.
Like one of them, you're tenacious as hell.
Thank you.
Which I want to go back on that and figure out where the hell that comes from. But the other things I want to pull out of this that I think are so good is another one is that you chose yourself, which I think is huge part of entrepreneurship. Is I think so often that we're waiting for permission, which I think is an issue for a lot of people, is like, well, they won't hire me or they won't give me the opportunity or I can't. No, there's like no reason why you can't just choose yourself and do the thing that you want to do. And then the other thing that I want to pull out of that is that your point about solving a problem. I think so often, I think this is like the lesson that I feel like you learned. So correct me if I'm wrong, is that often we try to create a key and then look for like a lock to stick it in. When a better approach, which is what you did now, is you created you saw a lock and now you're creating a key. You're creating the solution to something that already exists, which is a way better approach. Am I right on that front?
Absolutely. I feel like that's what happens. Like we were just saying with those, influencers I've been helping now is like, they just think they know what they want.
They're not listening.
They never listened. They never asked them.
Right.
They don't know
Right.
what they want. You think you know what they want, but and again, that's not saying that the thing you really want to create and do, you can't do it later, but
Right.
you need to get them in the door first and to trust you.
Right. Even that like value ladder piece of it that you touched on a little bit, which I think is a really important thing to hit on, is like understanding is that once you have somebody in the door of like, I often call it like a no-brainer offer or like an impulse offer, is like having some like really simple reason for them to come into your world, whether it's like a newsletter or some free gift or some like super cheap course or whatever it is, just to get them into the door. And then you can work them up that ladder of like, now here's a better offer and here's a bigger offer and here's an even better offer, and just like working them up. But you have to start at that base level of like understanding is like, what's the smallest thing? And like you tapped into that niche of pull-ups of like, what's the smallest thing you could do to offer somebody that gets them a real life result just to get them in the door? And then what comes from that is like, well, you're going to figure it out when they start telling you.
They literally, and I did a lot of, what I think one of the best things I did for that is during Core Revolution, I legitimately had another type form that we sent to them right away after, asking them all their questions. What are you struggling with? What's happening? And we went through that. I went through that entire list, and I literally kept seeing the same thing show up. And I was like, that's the market research right there. I'm like, I'm doing the research. I'm seeing the same things. Then all my content I answered all the questions from Typeform.
Wow.
I was literally just re-answering them. And they were like, oh my God, how do you know? And I'm like, cause I know, like,
Because I read your forms that you submit.
because I read every single form.
Unlike most people don't, they just like create things and hope that this is the right thing as opposed to listening to their audience.
Absolutely. And then if an offer even too, like, let's say an offer doesn't work, right? That's a great opportunity to now reach back out to those people. Hey, you know what? I thought you guys, would love this offer. Is there something that, is it price point? What was it? We do that a lot of times with my programs right now. We always ask like, hey, you didn't buy. Why? They might be like, you know what? I just didn't have the money. Okay, no problem. Like that happens, whatever. They might be like, this is just not something I need. They're not like too much time, something like that. They'll tell you. You just got to ask them.
Yeah, I love that.
Again, they're humans. People start to think, I think, too much in like they're a number. You're not numbers. Like these are legitimate humans who will tell you.
Right. No, I totally get that. It's like we forget to just really relate to people and be authentic and understand like, yes, exactly. You're talking to a human with somebody that has problems and issues, and often issues that you can help solve if you're paying attention.
Absolutely.
That's what do they say is like the world's biggest problems are also the world's biggest business opportunities?
Absolutely. Yeah. Find the problem. Again, I found like the core hurt, crushed it, got the core, and then the pull up. Okay, cool. After core too, it was like a whole other thing. Then it was like, what now? Like, they loved it. Like and I built it with them, which is kind of cool actually. Because again, I didn't have it built out. So I built each week after the end of their week. I would kind of like see what issues they were having with the program, stuff like, and then I would just literally like make the next week. So I literally made it with them, which was kind of even better, I think. So I made it with them, and at the end, they're like, "Wait, is this over? Like, what do we do now? Like, we want to still work with you." And I'm like, "Fuck, I don't know. Like, I gotta figure this out." So then
make another lock.
So then all of a sudden, I made full body revolution. Now it's like, okay, cool. You guys got your core. Let's come to full body. Then they're like, okay, cool. Now equipment's available. And like, this is after the next 30 days. And I'm like, fuck, I guess I'll make full body 2.0 with equipment. Okay, cool. So it was like no equipment with equipment. Then after that, this is again after like a month, another month. Then I'm like, okay, it might be cool to like play with the subscription model, because now I have a community, like I have a community base. I literally know these people's names, their pets' names, like we became a community. So it's like, let me just throw out there and see if we can do a subscription or something. So literally made a subscription, had like a 50% conversion rate. Everyone's in the subscription now. So now instead of me chasing after people for each month to buy a program, now they're in a reoccurring model. Later on, I wound up shutting that down. I actually shut that down like this May, because it was just not for me. Like I did not, just like the gym, just was like not what I wanted to do.
Yep.
Happy I did it. But yeah, it's, again, I just kept like you said, solving the problem as I was going.
What's your thoughts on the niche marketing piece of things? Is like, it seems like you were smart enough to recognize that there was like a niche market or an area. I often call it like a category of one, of like, what's the thing out there that doesn't exist that you can be the only one doing it, which sounds like a big part of what you're doing with the pull-up stuff for females. What are your thoughts on that? And like, what would you recommend to other people? Of like, I think that's a huge challenge and barrier for so many of my clients, of like, they're afraid to do that. They're afraid to go all in and commit to something. What's maybe some like advice you could give to them?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously scary. I think what's tough is when someone's just like, you need to niche down, and then you're like literally trying to figure out what that is. It's like, whatever. I do think you need to throw the spaghetti at the wall, like, and just see what's gonna catch. Like, that's what I had to do, right? I had to keep throwing spaghetti, and then the one that was the least difficult to get people to buy, I like went all in on that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Selling the subscription later on. So the people who were in all those programs that they did, were sold easily in a subscription. A newcomer coming in were not sold on the subscription at all, because it was just another subscription, just another person. You know what I mean? Pull up program, they're right in, easy, because they're like, that's what they want. They want to pull up. So I think that it's like, what's gonna, like you said, be like, maybe like, it should feel really light and easy to sell it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And if you're pushing so hard and nobody's buying it, that's literally telling you that they don't want it.
Right.
Like, they don't want it. So niching down, and again, looking at what these people's problems are really important. So I think that the most important thing to niche down is to, again, ask a lot of questions. Keep asking the questions. You're gonna find what people actually want. I do think it's important. There's just so much noise out there right now. There's so many things for fitness, especially, right? Like, everybody has a full body program. Everybody, whatever. I stand out because I do pull-ups. Like, what can you stand out for? Me, like, one of my friends is great with like butt stuff. Like, do butt stuff. If your group is like, oh my God, like, that's what I want. I want strong legs. I want a nice butt. Go for it. Go all in on that. And then later on, you can make that offer that you wanted to make, because you now, again, like you said, got them in the door. So I know it's hard. And I think that it's hard for people to sit down and go through, I've gone through courses where it's like, this is how you niche down, but it's a lot more complicated than
Totally.
that. I definitely don't think it's like something that you just know. You have to experiment and throw a lot of stuff at the wall first.
Yeah, and you'll know, because
You'll
like
know.
people will be begging you for whatever it is that you're offering. I often like think about it in reverse of like, if you're having a really hard time selling something, it might be because your marketing sucks. But if your marketing sucks, but you don't have a product that people want, everything else is irrelevant. Like, you just got to work backwards from there of like, what's the product or the solution or the offer that's like, you don't really have to market or sell, because it does it itself, because people are dying for it.
Exactly. So again, it might be annoying at first, and maybe it's not exactly what you want to be doing, but keep asking. And then again, like we said, we just got to get them in the door, because once they get to know you, they're going to probably buy whatever. Like, honestly, like most of the people that I've had, they've just literally for the past 3 years, they just keep buying it could be literally something they have no interest in. They just buy it because they like me. Like, it's just like, they just buy it because they trust you, they get to know you and things along those lines, but you have to give them that opportunity to get to know you. And that's why another thing that's really great is not only like, again, the core program, but I have free opt-ins as well. but I've become like super smart with my free opt-ins. So I have like a couple of free opt-ins. One of the main ones I'm doing personally right now is I'm alternating. 1 month's a core workshop, 1 month's a pull-up workshop. I just keep alternating, and it's just an hour. I do a full workshop. That's all I do is I talk about that. I grab their email. Once I get their email, there is sequence already preset up. Like every single time is the same stuff that we've like experimented with. I've played with so many email sequences, and it's literally just adding value every single week up until the core pull-up workshop. It's literally adding value and like, hey, problems I know like that they have. Hey, watch this video on like how to get rid of back pain for core stuff. I have a full video for you. I'm so pumped to see at the core workshop. Why don't you let me know what you need during this workshop? They reply. A lot of them reply, oh my God, I'm struggling so bad with X, Y, and Z. No problem. I'm going to make sure that we go over that in the workshop. So I'm already getting trust from them just by giving them value. Also, I'm getting the right people on the list for my email, right? Because you could have 20,000 subscribers of the wrong fucking people on your list. I'd rather have like 2,000 or maybe even 100 great people who really want to be on that list, who are excited to open that email because they're going to buy later on. So I've been doing that. So I'm doing the free workshops, and then they've been doing great conversion rates after.
If I didn't spend so much on this microphone, I would drop yours right now because
Let's drop it.
only because you're probably one of the first, if not only people I've had on the show that's talked about emails and the value of those. I preach it as somebody who does marketing for a living like it's nobody's business.
That's where they buy.
Thank you.
They buy there. They don't buy on Instagram.
Thank you.
Sometimes, maybe, but like most of the time not.
No, they might be on social media of any platform to like follow along and see what you're up to and see what you're doing, but they're not buying from you, to your point. Maybe luckily, but like not consistently.
So many people say that email is dead.
Not even close.
Do you hear that?
Yes,
Some people?
all the
And I'm
time.
like, I don't know what you're doing, but like it's not dead.
Are you kidding me right now?
If you were giving the actual value. So yeah, if you set up your emails and you're spamming them all the fucking time with a bunch of bullshit to sell right away, they're absolutely not going to open the email.
Right.
Like they don't care.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally agree. It's the only platform you own. It's the only platform you own. I have so many people. I just had Brian Sanders on the show recently, and I tried to tag him in a post from the show, and I couldn't even tag him because like of some COVID thing or something along the lines or whatever it is, right? And like nothing against him or whatever, but like you don't own any of the platforms that you're on in social media. Email is the only platform you own, and you can continue to have a relationship with your clients and customers. And if you don't have an email list and you're listening to the show, start building it, adding it, putting names on it, whatever it is.
The amount of influencers I've talked to who sit down with me and tell me they don't have a list
blows my mind.
It blows my mind. I was
Same.
like, you need to start that today. I mean, you literally, let me just tell you how simple this freaking is right now. Like this gets me so frustrated. Like it's not that hard. You're going to try and make it so complicated to get emails. One of my friends is awesome with talking about macros. He came in literally to one of my groups and talked about macros. Did a little small workshop. Maybe it was like a 30-minute one. Mm-hmm. I'm like, take that recording and literally make that your free opt-in.
Yep.
That one recording.
Yep.
That is it. Get their
your
email.
Yep. Give me your email and watch this video.
Done. One video. You didn't have to do anything. You literally can do that all in MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, whatever. I'm using Kajabi, but you can literally do that in any of the systems. And like if you're waiting to do it, stop. Just get the emails right now. You need them. Emails, text messages are good. People get annoyed with the text messages, so you have to be careful. Like if you're going to do something with text messages where you're like, I'm going to give you a motivational quote every Monday, like Gary Vee or something like that. I feel like that's good, but people can get annoyed with this. I got annoyed with like the sales sexy things, but I think if you definitely want to have email lists down, some kind of community, whether that be like Discord, Facebook group, whatever it is, like, cause they literally will start to get to know each other.
Yep.
And then if you feel like it, I got rid of text cause it was just too expensive and I didn't feel like it was like doing well for me.
I could beat this email thing into the ground. We don't need to beat this into the ground. I think they get the point. Hopefully, if you're listening and you don't have an email, do it. Okay, so moving forward, where do you see things going? So we're at this stage now where like you're doing the coaching online, you have these courses, you have all these awesome offers that you're offering people, you're building this community. What's next?
Yeah. So it's been interesting. I really had to sit down, same thing, and just, you have to reevaluate like every couple of years, I think, of like, what
Definitely.
am I doing? Like, is this what I want to be doing? So I had it, like I said, I had a membership for a while. I decided, and again, it ran for like 2.5 years. So I gave it the time I wanted. And I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm just not enjoying this anymore. It's just too much for me. So I actually shut down the membership, made those one-off programs, which is, again, my clients were totally fine with. And then I've decided that I'm going to go even more all in with just pull-ups. Again, pull-ups and core. That's it. That's going to be my main thing. I'm actually going to redo the pull-up program. I haven't redone it since I've had it. And we're going to actually create a little survey where they have to go through it and tell me about their pull-up. And that's going to lead them through 3 tracks of pull-up. So you're stuck at the bottom, stuck halfway, or you're all the way up and you want to get multiple pull-ups. So it's going to lead them to a program. So I'm going to have 3. Or they can buy the bundle, obviously. So we'll do like a bundle type thing. So I'm going to put a lot of my focus into that because once that's done, I'm not going to redo it again. But instead of them, and that's also going to allow me to collect their email right away. So
Hell yeah.
Get the email, take the survey, figure out where you're going to be at with your pull-ups. I'm going to do that. I'm writing a book right now. So that's really awesome. I feel like all the stuff I've learned along my journey is going to help a ton.
Wait. Do you have a teaser on the book at all? What's it about?
Yeah, it's called But What If It All Goes Right?
Okay.
And it's a lot about my journaling and stuff like that and thinking about, what if all those negative thoughts you're having in your head about everything going wrong, about you failing, what if it does go right? What does that look like? So I'm going to go through a lot of my story and give actionable steps at the end of each chapter that people can do. And then focusing on like the speaking and the event piece of a lot of this stuff. So I think my next step with this, I've gotten all the awards. I've, been the top athletes. I've done all the things. That's great. I don't think I've gotten the covers. I don't feel like I need that anymore because I've realized how much, again, it's great. I realized how much it doesn't mean fully anything to me anymore. Again, it's great to have that.
Sure.
So my goal now is to more share my story and help others along their journey. I definitely feel like that's where I'm at. And then just kind of have the pull-up program. So I'm definitely very clear now on where I want to be, not chasing after things for ego anymore, none of that stuff. So just those couple things and then just live the life, have that backyard that I want, Eric's backyard.
Sauna, cold plunge.
I want a sauna,
workout.
a cold plunge. I want a guest room. I want all the people I've met along my journey to come over and have a place that welcomes them. So I'm more just working towards that goal now. So it's a little bit different. But I'm excited to share the story because I definitely think that a lot of times when you're writing a book or you're speaking to people, you're speaking to your younger self. And that's literally what I'm going to be doing. Like when I see people right now, when I see that influencer who doesn't have the emails, I see myself and I'm just like, what can I do to give you a piece of advice to help you? And maybe you don't listen and that's fine. But I want at least to help make it a little easier for you.
I cannot wait to hang out in your house with your sauna.
Yes. Yeah, I know, right? I feel like everyone in Austin wants that, right? I feel like that's like their dream. I'm like, everyone here gets it. They're like, yeah, me too.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I feel like we've crossed paths many times, but I've never actually had a full conversation with you. And now that we have, I feel like I like you a lot more.
Yay!
Not that I didn't already like you. So I have a few rapid fire questions for you. So just give me first thing that comes to mind for some of these ones. Best business advice.
Best business advice? Just do it. Just
like
go for the idea and do it.
Best marketing advice.
Best marketing advice? Listen.
Favorite part about entrepreneurship?
Creating whatever life you want.
When are you the most productive?
Right in the morning, as soon as I get up.
Same. Who is your inspiration?
Yikes. I think all my friends that I've surrounded myself with right now.
Hell yeah. Yeah, you're in the right town.
Yeah.
Tell me one secret or something most people don't know about you.
I sleep at night light because I'm scared of the dark.
Really?
Yeah. Tough woman, scared of the dark.
Love that. What would you change about yourself?
I'm getting a lot better, but I think the one thing I would change is sometimes I was caring too much about what people think and like listening too much to people's advice. Like there's not one way to do something. So I think that just being more with my intuition and not getting caught up in all the other things.
I like that. I feel like I know the answer to this one, but when were you the happiest?
When I was the happiest?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, when I'm surfing.
Oh, really? You surf?
I surf, yeah, wake surf.
Oh, dope.
I love being out there because I feel like you can literally just be.
Oh, wake surf. So not like in the ocean, but not like on a...
I mean, I do both, but I like the wake surfing here because we don't have an ocean here. Yeah.
Fair. Well, could you surf? I don't know anything about the East Coast. Could you surf on the East Coast?
No, I had to go places.
Oh, okay. Favorite part about Austin?
Oh, wow. I mean, probably Squatched, honestly. I love that gym. I feel like I go in there and I immediately just feel happy, even if I'm not working out.
Great people.
Yeah, good people there.
I have one more question. Before I ask that question, though, I just want to acknowledge you for just your authenticity and your willingness to help people and to just like show up as your true self and to be tenacious as hell. And to just have such great advice and really genuinely want to help people. And I think that's awesome.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me. Just by you having this podcast is so helpful to people, just by having them listen, because I think that, you know, again, people get so caught up in their heads and things like that. And I think hearing from people, literally giving, again, the authentic advice that you and I are giving, they might look up to me. They might just think that it came easy. I think it makes it a lot better for them to know that, like, now everyone's, like, even the most famous person in the world has had a journey.
Totally. And they're still figuring it out.
There's literally we don't know what we're doing. No one knows what they're doing. Everyone's doing the best they can.
I've talked to a lot of people in the show and they're all just like, yeah, I don't know. I wake up and I'm like, I just figure it out. Like,
basically.
Like that's pretty much like their life day in and day out.
Yeah. So when you get that, life becomes a lot easier.
Before I ask my last question, what's your plug? Obviously, you're on Instagram. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Angela_Gargano. You can also go to my website, www.angela-gargano.com. On there, you can find like all the programs I've done, full bio. I also have, like, if you ever want to have me on to speak or on your podcast, I'm doing a lot of that right now, honestly. So there's a full form you can fill out on there to have me speak, and just, you know, if it's a good fit and if you feel like you want help on business, or I speak on like a ton of other different things. I just talked to a men's group. Listen, I've actually talked to like 3 men's groups, and I'm like, is this my niche? For speaking? I've literally spoken to so many men's groups. It's just, I'm the only female in the room. There's like 70 guys. I'm like, all right, well, maybe I should do more of this. So yeah, if you have any like events or anything like that and you want some advice, I'm there to help.
And she's definitely easy to talk to and reach out to and connect with. And so definitely give her a DM.
Yeah, send me a DM. If I don't get back, just send me another DM. I probably just didn't see it.
So if you were to go back to your younger self, or you were speaking to somebody early in their journey of entrepreneurship and they were just like, man, I don't know what to do. I don't even know where to get started. Like, what's like the first thing they should be thinking about? What's the best piece of advice you could give to somebody that's early on in their journey and they're like, I'd love to do my own thing, but I have no idea what the fuck to do?
I think my biggest piece of advice is like, you're not going to be ready, like, ever. Like, you're not going to be ready. So if you're sitting, most people in the beginning stages of their entrepreneurship are just like, I'm just going to wait till there's a better time. Or I'm just going to wait till there's a better time. Like, I've literally had that even with clients who like have signed to work with me, and now I'm like, where the hell are you? Like, oh, well, it's not a good time right now. There's never going to be a good time. Like, you literally just gotta start. And if you don't start, then maybe you don't want it as bad as you thought you did. So it's like, that's like my tough love advice.
Tough love.
Yeah.
Angela, thanks for being on the show.
Of course.
Thank you for listening to the show, and I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed recording it. Before you go, I only have one ask of you, and that would be to check out my 3 Tips Tuesday newsletter. It's 3 marketing tips every Tuesday that is specific for the health and fitness professional to help them market and grow their business. If you press the link in the description, it will take you to the archive of all my previous posts, and you can decide for yourself if it's something for you. If you find it helpful in any way, you can just sign up for the newsletter on that page, and then you'll get the weekly 3 Tips Tuesday in your inbox every week. Thanks again, and keep hustling, my friends.